All right, there's no turning back now. There's
Right,
no
let's do
going
it.
back. We are live. We are recording. It's Derwin and Yujiro. Got a little bit of a lineup change on episode 3, but the guys will be back. We'll be on different episodes from time to time. But we're all just here for the same common goal to share our thoughts on the latest and greatest video game news. This week has been crazy. There's been a lot of demos that dropped. There's been a lot of things happening. A lot of games that we're playing that's gone through changes. Some games trying to come back. I don't know, man. But I'm gonna start off with the first topic. It's gonna be, what's happened in gaming. And for you, Yujiro, this is gaming news from even from the beginning of the year. From going forward, we'll try to keep it, recent. But what was some of the most striking news that happened this year for you in terms of, I guess, what's coming out and, games that, gaming news in terms of what's happening around the industry or just things that you noticed and how gaming is moving forward?
Well, gaming is moving forward, but it's going really, really slow. We had to hold off on Harry Potter. We also had to hold off on another big title.
Harry
Um,
Potter. I can't
yes,
believe they.
yeah,
Can't
Harry
believe
Potter
that.
was it was a big goal. We was all looking for it, and they pushed it back, but they also pushed back. What's the game I'm thinking with the girl new antagonist? Um,
Forspoken.
Forspoken.
Forspoken. Yep.
Forspoken. Those are two huge titles that a lot of people was looking forward to playing. But in the meantime, they gave us some. Well, PC got a couple good things, and PlayStation is, they're dragging their feet, but they're coming along. But it's some big titles like we got God of War coming out this year, which is another good title. I want to see what they're doing moving forward in the God of War series, and because it's a big title, but it's like where are they going to take it at from here? That's one of the new things that's coming about. We had Tower Fantasy come out this year, which we will be speaking on a little bit later.
Oh yeah, TOF.
Yeah, TOF is it's a good game, but just like any other game, first of all, to let all the viewers know, or for everybody that don't know, it's a gotcha game. So that's one of the things that it's just part of the game. It's not a big thing where it's not known. A lot of the community talks about it, but yeah, it's a gotcha game. I want that ask you, how was Star Ocean and how was your perception of Star Ocean as far as the demo that came out for it? Because I think between you and me both, we played all the new demos that came out. Um, the demos that you played, how do you feel like they stack up on the new gen console, and what do you think that PlayStation is doing going forward at this point?
Yeah, that was kind of like my big news from the week is just that there's a lot of demos that dropped, and I was talking to Venom about this.
Mhm.
But I think PSA. I'm not sure if it went into effect, but I think they've required any games that's over like I guess $34 to have a 2-hour demo. And I'm not sure if
Mhm.
it went into effect because there's definitely games like 2K that didn't have a demo. So I was surprised to see so many demos drop. We had Valkyrie Chronicle, we had
Mhm.
Star Ocean, Divine Force, we had Wulong Dynasty, we had, um,
Which I played a lot of Wulong Dynasty, and I,
yeah,
I will have comments about that later. But speaking on that, like I hear everybody that played the 2K this year is saying that it's the best 2K that has came out in several years. So, I think they are headed in the right direction, but it's like how many of the other companies are going to do the same thing that 2K did is the question going forward in the future.
I mean, I don't. I was talking to one of the. Well, I was talking to. I was reading one of the devs. Was talking on his stream, and I saw it through another YouTuber, and he was saying that like basically some of these developments take years to implement. So for 2K
Hmm.
specifically, because the problem has always been the release schedule. Like because they
Hmm.
have to release every year,
Hmm.
there's no way possible they can make the advancements that they need to or want to make within that time frame. So, for me, I thought that the last couple of years they were moving towards something,
Hmm.
and it seemed like in the last 2 years 21 and 22, I feel like they took steps back. And I honestly, I didn't know what to think about 23 until they came out with their courtside report for the game, which is where they detail, what's coming to the game. And from then, I thought the game was going to be better, but I didn't know if they were going to execute it, the ideas. And they did. And I wouldn't call it it is the best, to me, it's the best 2K that we've had. But I think it's more of like a foundation. I don't think it like completely capitalizes or it's where it needs to be, but it's like if they build off of this is a great starting point. But because they have to release every year, I'm just worried that I don't know if they're going to try something completely new next year, and kind of abandon the progress that they've built. So that's where 2K is. But going back to Star Ocean, yeah, I did try out the demos that came out, and I encourage everyone to try those demos. I'm not hearing a lot of news about these games. I guess people weren't looking forward to them as much as I have been, but I think Valkyrie Chronicles was a big surprise when I tried it. But yeah, that was kind of the big news for me. And going into the next topic, I guess we can talk about like what are we currently playing. So right now, I'm going off of the news section of what we saw coming out this week. Of course, it was a demo, so I'm currently playing through the demos. I haven't been playing it at the pace that I usually play different games, but I'm currently playing Star Ocean, and I'm currently playing Valkyrie Chronicles. I'm still playing Genshin, which I'll talk about, and I'm playing 2K. And I played Wulong, but I beat it once, and it was pretty decent experience. I think I wish Venom was on. He could probably talk about it more in detail comparatively. You could talk about it too, but I played it with him at the time, and it was pretty good. I just, for me, I'm not sure if I would be able to stick with the game, and that's been the problem with me and Team Ninja games. Is they're good. Like, I don't deny that they're good. I have trouble finding my own personal interest in them. So that's where I stand with it. And why is that? It's mostly because I find their combat to be very kind of Dark Souls-ish. Not Dark Souls particularly, but and then the setting. I'm not really that interested in the setting personally. So if you're interested in the setting of that game, then I could see it being a really cool experience. And I think what has me interested in Wolong is because the movement to me is a little bit more flashy, which I like. I enjoy looking at the combat in the game. So it was pretty interesting, like playing through it, and definitely it was satisfying to learn and grow and to beat the boss, because we struggled with it the first time. I think we beat it the second time we played it, but it was pretty cool to like get, because it took me a while to get the style of the game. Like I was kind of playing back, not sure like when I'm supposed to time my dodges and things like that. But after a while, I kind of got the hang of it, and I thought it was pretty cool. Now with Star Ocean, I'm currently playing that. You probably see it playing right now. I'm currently playing as I'm talking, which is why I'm kind of losing my train of thought a little bit. It's a little different for me, but Star Ocean. My problem with it, and I'm playing it right now. As you can see, I'm fighting some monsters. You can't see it right now, Yujiro, but they can see it. And the problem I have with this game is you have this AP bar, and as I just died, actually, you have this AP bar. And what was he doing? You can't see it, Yujiro, but this guy just was not even in the battle. But you have this AP bar, and you use the moves in the AP bar, and once you use all the moves, and maybe I just didn't get deep enough into the systems of the game, but once you use all the AP bar, it kind of, you can't really attack anymore. And you try to move around and dodge and get away, and your AP bar doesn't come back fast enough. So it just seems like I'm not really understanding the flow of the battle in this game. And they brought back like the blindside mechanics. So for those who played the other ones, this I think they came in 3, and it just the combat just seems like a step back from because I played 1, 4, and 5, and it just seems like a step back. It looks good. Like some of the character designs are better, but the combat just doesn't feel particularly right. And one other thing is that basically they implement this ability to like float around, but there's nothing really. There's no real reason to explore. Like it's like you have this ability to now fly in the air and float in the air, but the only thing you can really I've seen so far, and then this is really early in the game, it's just a demo, but is you're collecting these like coins. So it's like it's like an advancement on the earlier versions of the game, but it doesn't really go far enough to compete with what we have available, which was really strange. It makes me feel like this was a game that was in like kind of like development hell, and Square Enix just released it because they were tired of it sitting there. And that's how I felt about some of Square Enix's latest releases. Like I just feel like some of this stuff, it's like Star Ocean has a name, I guess, but it's not really. It doesn't really deliver that modern gaming experience. Some of the ideas in here seem kind of outdated. The graphics are okay, but just the ideas overall in this game just don't seem to be executed that well. And it was quite surprising. Like I was really excited for this game. I'm probably still going to play it for the story, and I recommend if you like the story of Star Ocean, it should be good enough. But at the same time, it's like I was really surprised by this one. Like it kind of let me down in a big way. Like I don't understand why they went with this way. Like then you have like you could build your own combos. That was like a selling point. But like it's weird because none of the animations kind of flow together. So you can like pick all your combos, which is just different canon animations. But when you try to put them together, it doesn't really like flow. It seems like you're doing one after animation after another. They don't have any connective tissue to each of the animations.
Kind of janky.
It feels it leaves it feeling janky. So yeah, I was really. And then another red flag. I don't know if I've ever remembered a game demo where you can't change the difficulty. I like to play single player games on the hardest difficulty. I don't even mess with normal most of the time. In some games that like God of War kind of burnt me doing that. So some games you do need to play on normal, but I don't know why this game in the demo doesn't allow you to play on the hardest difficulty. Like how am I supposed to know if this game can deliver on the difficulty if I can't pick it? And I can't think of a good reason why I wouldn't be able to play on the hardest difficulty in the demo. Like I just really don't know what a reason for that would be. So yeah, that was my experience with this game.
I got a feeling the reason why they didn't do that with that game is because I think that they're not trying to hit that ceiling of being Dark Souls-ish, because it's a lot of games that come out now and they just all are in the realm as far as difficulty at Dark Souls. But then you don't want to dumb the game down to the level where it is, just unplayable, because that could be a problem too. But I'm not gonna be the dead horse on that. We'll get into that later. But there's some games that I would like to that came out this year that I would like to ask you, like Lost Ark. Where do you feel like Lost Ark is right now, and going forward for Lost Ark?
That's a good question. I didn't even think about Lost Ark. It's been kind of out of my brain.
Like I got things, I got questions I gotta ask you because I know you play them, I play them. But where do you think Lost Ark sits? Like I said, I got a lot more questions. I want to know what do you think about Destiny 2 going ahead. I mean, like we've played so many titles this year,
right?
And and that's I had some of these questions for you because I know that some of them had either lost your interest or you would just was doing something else like and it's so many games that came out this year that we have played
Yep.
or that we had on our what you call them and they either got pushed back or something happened because like I was looking through like Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. I played it this year, but where does it stack up to everything else? I think that they're in a good place, but they need a lot of improvement to that Vampire Masquerade game. So, you
Yeah.
know, I'm just looking at things that we played this year in the whole because I got a list of things like, King Crossroad. How did, what was your thoughts on it?
Right. So with Lost Ark, specifically,
Hmm.
that game, I feel like is fine. Like I feel like the people who play it, I feel like it delivers on what it delivers on. The
Hmm.
problem that I had with it is that when you're leveling up, um, you know, I, I I think that game requires you to have a core group of friends that play it,
I can
and
see that.
that was what I ran into. Like when I was in that playing that game, I actually was in Enviosity's guild in the
Hmm.
game, and to their credit, they were there to play certain like dungeons and things like that.
Hmm.
But I stopped playing the game for a little bit and came back. I got kicked out of the guild. I didn't try to get back in, and I just finished the demo. I just let it sit here while I talk because it was distracting me anyway. But basically, like I tried to get back into it, and I found was when you lose that momentum that you don't feel like you're with everyone else, it just became like hard. Like I was trying to get into these guilds, and they were like, "You need this score," so you get on and you're trying to grind this score up, and the way the gear leveling system was,
Hmm.
it was kind of dissatisfying to the point
Hmm.
where you start to feel like you got to spend money. And Lost Ark is not one of those games where I feel like, I mean, I did buy some skins and stuff, but other than that, I wouldn't pay for advancement in that game. I had to ask myself, like, it is fun, but I wouldn't pay for advancement. The PvP is fun, the combat is fun, and I do want to get back into Lost Ark, but
Hmm.
what stops me every time is, um, like, in order for me to play Lost Ark, I would need like a core group of friends that I know to play it every day. And to get to that point is just such a grind that, even like say me and you were to catch up, it would just be us two. And then we would still have to find two
More
other
people to play.
people. And
Hmm.
it's just one of those things where people who do find people, hey, or if you find people from in the game or you join a guild and you befriend people, hey, good on you, man. It works. That's why I'm not going to bash the game. But like, it's a game that, like any MMO, it has certain requirements, I feel like, to really enjoy it. And I just didn't hit that. And that's why, I stopped playing it because I felt like, also the fact that there was other things like when I started playing Lost Ark, that was the only time I took a break from Genshin. That was the longest break I took from Genshin.
Hmm.
And but then when I stopped, when Lost Ark presented these challenges that was just too much for me to overcome, um, I started to play Genshin again. And Genshin for me has this continual progression where it's like I always feel like I'm caught up with the game, and it just was comfier for me to return back to Genshin. So kind of had other games. It's a combination of also having other games to fill that void, and so that's what happened with Lost Ark. I would never say Lost Ark is a bad experience because it was a great experience, but it could feel kind of lonely if you don't have like that core group. And I remember I was watching Saint One, who was a big Lost Ark streamer. He was saying that he was feeling the same way. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something to the effect that he was feeling like off about the game until he found his core group that he does all his raids with and stuff. So I feel like that with that game, that's what kind of holds that game back is that like it's hard to once you get to that end game level, it's like being by yourself. Like I imagine there's people who play it solo, but it's just not really a solo
That game.
experience, man. And then so I don't know, it is kind of hard. So that's about Lost Ark. Now with what's the other one you asked me about?
Um, that was Lost Ark, but I got a list of
Oh,
games to ask you about.
you
Go ahead.
you asked me about damn, I just just forgot the moment I thought I remembered. There was another one you asked me.
Nino Cooney.
Nino
Nino
Cooney
Cooney.
Crossworlds,
Crossroads.
the
Yes.
mobile game. You know,
Hmm.
I was really excited about that one. I even went back and played
I
the
know.
the first
We,
two, and they're great.
I mean, we both played it together.
Yeah,
So
it you know that game. I would have to say that one kind of edged on the it. That one was the game's fault. Um, it it's really trying to get you to spend money. I mean, let's just be honest. That game, it could have been so much more. First of all, it never met Nino Cooney expectations, even from when you booted it up. But I looked past it because I mean there were fun parts about it. You know what I mean? Like
right.
it seemed like a genuinely like I love the light, bright colors in it. I love the like atmosphere of the game of just Nino Cooney. I mean, they kind of borrowed their atmosphere, really. I mean, it just Nino Cooney is like it's so heart, heartwarming. I loved, it's just it makes you feel happy being in there, right? Like you feel happy,
Hmm.
and it's like we were having a good time, and then I don't know, man. Like every day you log in, you get to this point where you feel like you're inching forward instead of progressing. And it's funny because people say that about Genshin, but like I think because I played Genshin when it first came out, like I've always been on pace with Genshin. And I've always had like when I look at my account, I feel like I am making progress. But with Nino Kuni, they had so many. I don't even remember that game. It had so many systems.
I
It
knew.
was
I
in
knew.
every day they were introducing new systems, new systems. Oh, you got to go over here, you got to go over there, you got to do this. And I kept missing the world boss. That's another thing that was pissing me off, like missing the world boss. And every time you missed one of these things, you felt like you were that further behind.
Hmm.
And it's like, and then they have a PvP, and then it's like you're just doing all these things, and then the auto pathing, and it gets to a point where you're just like overwhelmed with all the stuff that you have to do to upgrade your account. I mean, you got the camp, you got the your familiars are there, and you got all these familiars. You got to break them down and build them up, and it just quickly became out of control with Nino Cooney. Man, like I wish that game could have borrowed more from what the original game is,
Hmm.
because what I imagined it would have been so cool, like just to hop in the world and be able to do some Pokemon like stuff with your friends, like the way that the original game is set up, where like you have your created character and then you focus on like your familiars, and we can fight with our familiars together against other enemies and stuff like that. That's what I really wanted.
Hmm.
And it just kind of that game is a cash grab, if you want my honest opinion. But
Well, I mean that's fine.
but
I got a list of other games that you played that I wanted to ask your opinion about them, but I kept it for now because, like, what do you think that the 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 people that made Biomutant, how could they better
oh,
that game
Biomutant.
on the next one, on the next one? Because
Oh
these are all
man.
games that came out. Like Biomutant is on my list to ask you about. Tam Tim is on my list because I didn't get to play the actual full release version yet.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm
we
probably
still
gonna.
got to play Tim Tim. That one's a good one.
Right. So I played the pre, and it was amazing. It was
Yeah, Tim Tim's
great.
good.
So I haven't got to play the fully released version, which I'm looking forward to playing. But on Biomutant, what do you think? Do you think they actually need to hire? Because I remember one of the biggest things was that they didn't have any voice actors, and they had like this weird place where they were in between adult content and kid content.
Oh yeah,
So
that's one of
going
my
in the
pet peeves.
future, do you think they should be more adult oriented or more kid oriented for Biomutant?
Um, I mean, I guess that's what they wanted to do, and I'm
Right.
fine if that's what y'all want to do.
But
I just felt
if
like
they
from all
focus
the
on one, they may be more successful. If they focus on either the older crowd or the younger crowd, but they need to. I mean,
yeah
don't you?
yeah. I mean, with that one, first of all, I didn't know. I don't know if I missed it, but I didn't know that before I bought that game, I didn't know that was the tone of the game. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know where I missed that in the marketing. You know, I just thought it'd been a fun beat 'em up, but the combat wasn't as impactful as I thought. And then that
Mm-hmm.
combined with the fact that yeah, it had this tonal. Um, me personally, I'm not sure if it's the same for like majority. I would assume it's the same for majority of people, but and anime does this a lot, right? Does do this a lot. So it has been
Mm-hmm.
successful before where you can have multi tones of like you can go all the way to kindergarten humor and then bring it all the way back up to somebody's being stabbed, you know, repeatedly in the heart, and you're like, well, that Jane's fast, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a place for that kind of content, you know. Like I do feel like there's an audience for that. I'm not sure how big
Mm-hmm.
it is, but I felt like with Biomutant, you know, for me personally, yeah, I think it would have been better if they had stuck um with one. Um I mean, honestly, if I knew it was going to be a children's game, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. But I would have preferred it to lean more of like adult. Like, I thought it'd been cool to have like a world like of animorphs, and it has something to say, like something mature to say, and there's like really something going on, and you have like I thought that was cool. Like I like when you take something that looks so silly, but you like make it serious, and that's kind of what I was hoping Biomutant would be, especially when you have like Biomutant. I was thinking they would have some sort of hazard system in it, and they did that I never got to experience. But yeah, I think what you're hinting at is definitely what I felt. Is that they could have definitely kept me more interested if they had a more mature tone and left out a lot. I mean, just the fact that no one could talk in the game and it was just a bunch of mumbling. I couldn't get with it, and it got to the point where I had to put that down pretty quickly. So yeah, Biomutant was a huge L for me. Probably the one of my most regretful purchases of the year, to be honest.
So
And it was
looking,
delayed, I think.
what about Gotham Knights? Are you going to play Gotham Knights? What's your thoughts on Gotham Knights?
Oh yeah, yeah, Gotham Knights. We talked about it a little bit in the first
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
That one is one that I'm really excited about because it's a co-op
Mm-hmm.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little, I'm going to play it for sure. I am a
Mm-hmm.
little skeptical about the game. I do have reservations still because of how it's been marketed, what I've seen so far. Like we talked about it a little bit, but like they talked about this crime system, and I thought the crime system that they described it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that they're not talking about it more or they didn't lean on it in the marketing was kind of weird for me because when I found out about it, my first thought was, why didn't they lead with this? Like, why they like this would have been something I would have liked to known sooner, and it just seems like
So what exactly is it?
so
Because
basically like
I haven't did any because they took one of the characters that was going to be my favorite player and they made him non-lethal. So I don't know if I'm going to play the game, but I would like to hear about it.
yeah, like so basically um and Venom explained it a lot better than I can, but basically there's like this crime system where the world will crimes, or at least crimes will evolve over time. So like every night there's a cycle, and there's some crimes you might not be able to complete, but those crimes will turn into bigger crimes over time. So it's kind of like an ongoing saga of crimes that can lead. And what I'm hoping is that some of those crimes lead to some of the big name enemies. Like for example, this is probably not going to be it, but when I hear that, this is what I think of. Right, I think of um, like say there's a robbery, right, and
Hmm.
say they're trying to steal guns, right,
Right?
and you don't catch them that first night, right? So then the next night they steal ammunition. Then you don't catch them that night, and then the next night they are doing something up to something else, like they're commit some kind of, I don't know, it's kind of assassination, put it that way. And then you
Mhm.
go, okay, what? Then you look at all the clues, and you figure out that they're working with Mister Freeze. And then you got to go take, and then you solve the crime. You say, oh, that's why they need all this stuff because they're trying to blow up the bridge. Like that is what I envision. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but when they start talking about like crimes evolving over time, like that's what makes me excited because it's like now you can't possibly solve every crime at night, but if these crimes can turn into boss battles and say those bosses over time would do different things, you can essentially have your own Batman cartoon with your friends. Like essentially y'all can go solve crimes and like over time Mr. Freeze will be up to something different, or the Joker will be up to something different. You got to stop him each time. Maybe they break out of jail. It to me it opens up the possibilities that you can have this ongoing, saga within the series.
See?
And I'm not sure they're going to go that route, but it's interesting to me. That's where I'm just like, wow. Now you're talking, you know, cuz at that point the game becomes replayable because then it's like, all right, let's go solve some crimes. Oh, what's going on over there? You try to solve it the next night and the guy gets away. And then the next night it just turns into you like and then we be talking and you be like, I bet it's the Joker, bro. He always up to something, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like he,
yeah.
he always up to something. I know where he's at.
I mean, and you know what? I like that idea, but my only reserve about the game is I was hoping that it was a little darker.
Right,
So for me, like it's a little still. I don't know if it's a show came out. It was called Flashpoint Paradox, and it was a little darker side of Marvel, or
right,
not Marvel or DC, DC, and it kind of showed what happened. And for me, because of the whole thing that inspired with it, I would think that, Batman dying, that some people, even though they're working together, they will be a little more dark or a little more upset about it. And it seems to me, they just seem a little too happy.
right,
Like they're trying to honor his wishes, but at the same thing, it's not like, okay, nobody's really trying to get revenge for Batman.
right,
You,
right.
so so the reason why I wouldn't is because I was looking for a little darker. So
I don't think you're alone on that at all. Like I think that a lot of people, when they heard that Red Hood would be have non-lethal rounds, I mean, I think it got memed on pretty hard. Um,
it's it's like Red Hood is like he's always been he has respect for Batman, but to have non-lethal rounds is pretty bad.
right,
So
right. Um, yeah.
yeah.
I agree with you on that. I mean, for me, Batman has always been kind of borderline. Um, like they go as dark as they possibly can. They don't always go as dark. I mean, you have the movies that took it to a different level, but
Hmm.
I assumed like this game is sort of for kids in a way.
Hmm.
So that's why I kind of give them a pass a little bit on the darker tones. I don't want it to be super silly, and I'm hoping it's not that way. I'm hoping that it's one of those, kind of PG-13. Like, okay, like you imply some things. I'm hoping that it delivers a little bit of maturity. But
Hmm.
again, I hope just like with Biomutant, I hope it doesn't bounce like to really bad kindergarten humor. Especially I hope they don't implement any fart jokes or like that. That's what would immediately make me put down the game. Um, Personally. But yeah, man, like there's a lot of stuff that
Um,
uh,
what was that other game? Something Squad. It was supposed to come out this year.
oh, Suicide Squad
Yeah,
versus
I was.
Justice League.
Well, was it against Justice League or was it just Suicide Squad? It was one that was supposed to come out about the same time as Gotham Knights, and I was looking forward to it, but it got pushed back.
Yeah, Suicide Squad is one. Um, it looked really good when they showed the gameplay, and that's definitely one that I took off my radar because they don't. I don't know if they have a release date yet, but they definitely moved
Mhm.
it back. But they did show gameplay and it looked really good. I think that one will have a darker tone than Gotham Knights. I think it will play better. It's more of an open world type style. I mean, Gotham Knights is open world too, but it's more grounded, I think, than what I saw in Suicide Squad. So we'll see.
Hmm.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to that one. Um, and of course, I think that they are up against it with that idea because the problem I have with Suicide Squad is I'm not really interested in any of the. You have to make me interested in those characters. So I'm really wondering how they're gonna kind of open those characters up with their move sets and their personalities and their backstories to like kind of make me want to play it. But it looked awesome though when I saw the gameplay. It did. Like there was a huge ceiling on the open world. Like you can get some pretty high in the air. Like it seemed like it was a really kind of a lot of traversal in the game, things like that.
Yeah, because one of the things that there's a couple games that I feel like is doing really bad. One of them being Black Desert. You know, I was a I played the game for years, but I just don't feel like it's in a good place for right now.
Right. But yeah, those are the games that Glad you had that list. That got me talking about a lot of different games that happened this year. I forgot about Biomutant. I
Hmm.
do want to ask you though, what are you currently playing?
So, in my list of games, I am playing Tower Fantasy. I am playing Counterside. I am playing PGR, and I'm playing Genshin Impact. Those are the only games that I play as of
Awesome.
right now. And I do play some Honkai, but
Mm,
this whole year I've played a lot of games and I see games fluctuating going up and down. Like prime example, I have a game that I've played ever since it came out on PlayStation, Warframe.
right.
I think that Warframe is actually going in a bad direction.
Mm,
I don't know if it's because Steve's leaving, the head of WatchCom, and they put somebody else in WatchCom over the direction, but they came out with a new Warframe. I forget his name. I think it
Stynex.
was like Cynex. So Cynex came out and he's had three nerfs already.
Three?
Three nerfs. They've nerfed Cynex three times. Brosamine was actually talking about the same reason of why have this new Warframe been nerfed three times. So that says something about the department and everybody that's working in it and what is the future of Warframe. So you just think about that. New Warframe just came out, three nerfs, not even in a month or month and a half since release.
Mm,
So that is the future of Warframe. So, old games that I have like that I just put down, I was like, well, the game's dead. The game, most of the player base is people that come back, play the update, leave because that, they find something fun to play with, and then that happens. Nerf hammer, nerf hammer, nerf hammer. So digital screams, what are they going to do going forward in the future? You know, I know that this other thing is coming out that they have coming out, what Soul Frame,
yeah.
but it's like if Soul Frame follows the same what you call 'em, it's going to be another disaster. So why would people pick up their game? The problem is that people love a lot of these games, and then they break down the frame of the game, and no one wants to play it anymore. Because like I had like a lot of games that I loved that I stopped playing this year. So the Division One, Division Two, Division Two was the one of the worst looter shooters I played of all time. They promised one thing on release, and then when it came out and they got everyone money, they changed everything. I had friends that, you know, we were when this happened in Destiny and people found the exploit, they used it. But when they used the exploit on Division Two, they totally they killed the whole. Instead of them being upset with themselves for not finding the glitch, they punished their fan base, and that literally killed the game. So if a
Yeah.
Div 3 come out, do you think a lot of people's going to play? No, I wouldn't invest in it. So I mean, I have to look going for where gaming's going from some of the because me and you play a lot of the same game, but I play some titles that are different. Like prime example, Death by Daylight. It went in a bad place this year. These were all games that I played that they've either been backburnered or threw off.
Yeah,
Death
you were
by
playing. You
Daylight,
were really playing that for a while. Yeah.
right? I was playing a lot of it, and it just went in the toilet so fast. So in the game of Death by Daylight, it came out and it was brutal. It was brutal when the game first came out. It was like you couldn't get away from the killers. So they made it. They did some changes and some little quirks, and people was able to get away from the killer. And they felt like the win ratio to getting away from the killer was too high. So they kept on and kept on and kept on. But the last time that they did it, they nerfed all of the survivor perks in the game. So if you went in, let's take you, like we said, remember how the other games you needed four people to play? That
Yep.
was a game where you could, come in with some random people and you could possibly win a game.
Yep.
Your probability of winning a game with a random team now in Death by Daylight is maybe 3 out of 10 if you're lucky. That's if you're lucky. Don't get because you can have one bad player and it can ruin the whole experience. Now imagine that happening the whole night.
Right.
I think behavior went in a horrible direction with that game. But these are the future of some games. Like I'm looking forward to Calypso Protocol. I'm going to play it when it comes out. So for me, like I say, I look at where they have came from and what are they doing going for in the future. Like behavior, I wouldn't play anything else that behavior put out.
Mm.
Like if they come out with a new Death by Daylight, I won't be playing.
That's
Some of
interesting.
these games have like because it's like you're going to follow the same pattern,
Right.
and if you're going to follow the same pattern, why am I going to jump through the same loop or use my finances to fund your servers or your game?
Right.
Because that's what all of us do that play these games. When we play these games and we put our money and our resources in it, we're saying that we enjoy what we're doing. Well, why would you pay to invest into something that's going to bring you more heartache than not?
I feel you on that.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that game. But I think it's a lot of good games coming out, but it's a lot of old games that's dying off. Like Tower
Yeah.
Fantasy. I'm playing Tower Fantasy. Tower Fantasy is a great game. It's a great game, but Tower Fantasy, I feel like they punish their low spenders. I remember having a brief chat with you yesterday, but Tower Fantasy punishes the low spender. The whales get. I mean, like if you're a whale, it doesn't even matter in Tower Fantasy because you're gonna have the top gear, you're gonna have the top everything, because you could just throw your wallet at it. And low spenders are punished. Where I feel like free to play is that you either want to be free to play in that game or you want to be a whale. It is no in between in
Mm.
that game, and that's just for my opinion. And I'm gonna tell you what I mean. So I've seen people that had a free to play account that was better than mine. I re-rolled what 15 times.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like if you do the odds of getting 15 bad accounts, that's pretty high. 15 to 20 bad accounts. I have one that I'm playing with, which is on Solus, but I rolled 15 other accounts just to see what my odds was on different servers. And out of 15, I only got that one that was decent. So I bought a little battle pass and I spent a little money here or there. And it seems like every time that I hit pity, it would be pity of another 5 star that I didn't need. And in that game, constellations do mean something.
Right.
It's not like in other games where a constellation, oh, this is going to be broken once you get constellations. No, you need constellations in this game. A limited banner, you can get one, but how usable it's going to be in the future is almost going to be nil. You
Right.
really want to get your base in that game, so your base ones. But the problem is that the true pity is at 120. And if you run the world and you get everything in the world, the probability of you getting 120 3 to 4 times is very low. So I'm level 66 in the new, and that's cap. Like that's high as you can get right now. It's 66. That's high as you can get. And the problem is I'm running into issues trying to get pulls. So they do come out with events, and then every day you log on and you do your bounties, and your bounties give you purple pulls, which we're not going to even talk about purple pulls. Purple pulls might as well be took out of the game. because it is no pity on a purple pool, and your probability is like 0.001 to get, you know, what you call
SSR. Yep.
right. To be honest, I think that they should change that system and give it a pity. It
Right.
needs a pity. It needs a pity for one. And two, the gold banners, they need to be a little bit lower. Maybe 100 of the badges should get you a what you call them instead of 120. People are still going to spend money. It's not going to break the bank because you don't, where I'm at right now, you have none in the game. So think about it. You're waiting for content to come out where you can get pulls. Now imagine if you're free to play. You would have had to either stack up all your pulls or get extremely lucky.
Right.
So that's where people are at. And then even though some people get extremely lucky, what's to hold their attention? Because the armor system in the game is pretty punishing. I mean, even you, like, what's so crazy is we're in the opposite direction. So you're trying to get yellow gear. I have so much yellow gear, it's coming out of my ears. I have another piece of chest piece, arm piece, a whatcom piece. I have all these pieces where I can make 2 or 3 sets of this stuff, and I could re-roll them. But I'm starring them up. But that's the point. Like right now, where I'm at, it's all about rolling your arm up. So that's a lot of bygone that you have to do. A lot of wormhole that you need to do. Um, just to actually get the stuff that you need.
Right.
So your daily grind is going to look so weird. That and running to get, like dolls and little toys and gifts where you can level up your your constellations or your stars on your character. So these are all things, and it's a good game. Don't get me wrong, but I think for this game in particular, Tower Fantasy, you either need to be free to play or a whale. If I was a low spender and I was you, I would either go to free to play or I would turn into a whale because that's the only way you're going to enjoy the game. For myself, I like the game. I'm going to turn to free to play. I'm not going to invest any more money into the game until I see something change.
Right.
But the low spenders, they punish them, you know. And I think that's a problem with a lot of the gotcha games these days that low spenders get more punished than it is a good thing of being a low spender because you're still investing in the game. But if you're not investing $1,000 to $2,000 in a game, you're gonna get punished.
Yeah, and those are crazy numbers, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
1,000.
Because right. Because this is the thing. If we think about how long Tower Fantasy's been out, I've already dropped $600 to $700 on Tower Fantasy. And I'm considered a low spender.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right.
That's a low spending amount. And people are like, well, what did you get? Nothing most of the time.
Right.
I either got nothing or random 5 stars.
Yeah.
So random 5 stars. And that's a low spender. A low spender is $600 to $700. A whale spends $2,000 per banner.
Right.
Per
Right.
banner. And that's 6 star in it and the weapon.
Right.
And maybe 6 star in the matrixes. Well, yeah, because I seen the guy 6 star in the matrixes and his weapon. So that's starring up the matrices and starring up his whole what you call. But with $2,000, I'm pretty sure that everybody watching could do something better with.
Oh, definitely.
And
Definitely. Definitely. For
so,
sure.
I make these mistakes where I can tell people about these mistakes and tell them, okay, well, your probability is very low. Where,
Yeah.
you would have to get extremely lucky at $600 or $700 to even get anything decent.
Right.
So,
So, what did you say you were playing other than Tower Fantasy?
I'm also playing Hunkai. I'm playing PGR, which is another Punishing Gray
Two more
Raven.
gotchas.
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of gotchas.
Yeah,
But
Honkai is really good, but
but out of all those gotchas, I gotta say, counter
counter side.
counter side is the best.
Yeah.
Even though it's a little punishing at times, counter side is the best amongst all of them.
Right.
Um, It's kind of rewarding. It's in between. It doesn't punish low spenders. That's how I feel when I play counter side. Punishing Grey Raven is another one. I will say Punishing Grey Raven has to be the most punishing gotcha I've ever played.
Mm.
Yes, it is the most punishing gotcha I ever played.
Wow.
Um, if I was to tell anybody not to play something, Punishing Grey Raven will be it.
That's interesting because they're about to come out with another one. I'm not sure when it's going to drop, but Wuthering Waves is supposed to drop. Supposed to be a competitor with Genshin. I know a lot of people hate comparing these new games to Genshin, but
I don't
I
know why. I don't know. I play Genshin as well, but this is the thing. In Genshin, I've never felt as bad as I have in these other games. When I missed the pity on Genshin, people realize that in 40 more pools or even 20 more pools, a lot of times in Genshin you get that character.
right,
And in that, it's also other people on the banner that you get.
right,
But let's talk about it. So in Tower Fantasy, if you miss your pity, your probability of getting that character is almost nil.
mm-hmm.
Almost nil. So I pulled on what was it, the Nemesis banner. I didn't get Nemesis at 80. I had to go all the way to 120, take my 120 pulls, buy it out of the shop. Then I
right,
pulled another 60 times and I still didn't get a Nemesis. I'm almost at pity again. I rolled for pity and I missed it again. A second time I missed it. So I had a decision to make. You're at 110 pulls. You can wait for the next banner or you can go for it again and try to get to another 120. And that's where Tower Fantasy was worse. In PGR, it's complete luck. It is no true pity.
right,
So that's what makes it worse. You can roll 400 times and get every 5 star in the stack.
right,
You can get every 5 star in the stack, and to some extent, Tower Fantasy is almost the same.
right,
Like you can keep rolling on those banners, and every time it pops up, you can get a different one. The only difference is that at 120, you can use those chips to buy that weapon.
right,
But in Genshin, you never feel like that way. If you miss pity the first time, you're guaranteed the second time.
right, right,
So when people say that Genshin is more punishing, I don't understand because I play Genshin and I play these games. So I'm a person that plays gotchas,
right,
and I'm telling you, Genshin is not as punishing.
right. No, I hear you on that.
I mean, I mean, I don't think people understand that Genshin is actually it's bad, but it has. If they play Punishing Gray Raven or play any of these other games or even Honkai, they're punishing. They're way more punishing than Genshin will ever be.
right,
I mean, I don't know how many 5 stars have came out recently, but I think I'm off like four of having every 5 star in the game in Genshin Impact.
right,
Like four. And I missed several months in between. Let's talk about that. So when I was playing Genshin, I took off 3 or 4 months.
right,
like straight. Like I didn't even play.
right.
And I came back and I got all
Like
these
that would
characters.
give me anxiety. Oh my
That
god.
you see what I'm saying? So imagine if you took off these other games where you're playing every day and you're still not getting them.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So when people say these things about Genshin, it's like people like, oh, you're a Genshin fanboy. No, I play gotchas.
Right.
I don't see black or white or none of it. I look at the facts.
Right.
And the facts of the matter is now certain ones gave me hell in Genshin. I didn't even get them. Venti. You know how many times I rolled? Every time Venti came, I rolled on the Venti man. Didn't
Yep.
get one Venti. Didn't get one.
Right.
And I respect that. I got almost every other 5 star. Like I'm missing literally four. Like
Right.
if I get on my account and look, it's like okay, 3 or 4 of them is missing. And
Right.
some of them it was because I didn't even roll on them. If I would have rolled on them, I probably would have got the character. So
Right.
Again, you know, I remember playing PGR and clicking on them and rolling, and also the currency to get to roll in PGR is ridiculous. To try to literally even get one roll. So that's another thing. Like Tower Fantasy, as it goes on, to get those pulls is becoming harder. You're waiting on regions. You're waiting on like the artificial island came out, and it's really really good. But let's look at the artificial island overall. When you're talking about pulls, if it gave us 80 purples and 30 silvers, that's not even one pity. Or 30 golds, that's not even one pity. So you
Right.
couldn't even get the pity off of what you got on the island. And those 80 purples, you gotta be lucky as hell to get something off.
Right.
Those are the facts. Those are the facts about that. But Genshin, you can play Genshin, and between events and just playing every day, $5 working pass. Let me not leave that out. $5. It's what you pay for a Happy Meal or whatever. You really can't even get a Happy Meal for $5 anymore. But
Right.
for $5 and logging in every day, by the end of a month, you'll have enough to make the banner.
Right.
What can you say that about any of those other games?
It's a good point.
These are the this is the facts. So when people say, well, it's boring or this or that, the other, first of all, it's not as punishing.
Right. So,
It's not as punishing.
in addition to Tower Fantasy, um, you said you gave Wulong a try. I know I already told you what I thought about Wulong, but what did you think about it?
All right. So for me, Wulong was a fail.
Oh, damn.
Now, let me explain why. So I'm a Neo fan. Neo 1, Neo 2. I play them all.
Uh huh.
The chaining of combos had that delay in it, like you talked about the other thing. It's not as noticeable to some people, but when you play like a lot of Neo games and a lot of what you call them, I feel like that delay is there. Also, the character creator is good, but they could have did more. So
There were
it
some
could,
restrictions in the demo to the character creator, though.
right, right. So it could get better. But far as the combat, it has this weird system that's going on that I don't know is going to work in late game. The weapons, they don't have enough variety. For
Oh,
that to
yeah.
be,
Venom said the same thing.
it
Yeah.
doesn't have enough variety. So when you look at Neo, they had like swords and knives and nunchucks and they had all types of stuff. But when you look at this game, it's like, this is what you got. It's like, no, no, you need other things. You need a ring sword, like a ring that you can literally throw. You need more diversity in this game. The switching needs to be smooth. It's like, remember how you said they kind of went backwards? They went backwards with this game
Mm,
because this game is more like a Dynasty Warriors meets Neo lagged out.
that's interesting.
In the last Neo, you was transforming into like this demon. In this one, you can only summon the demon.
I did prefer that, though, to be honest, me personally.
It doesn't stay as long.
It doesn't, but I do like the
That
animation. I like
the first in the first game you could summon it. So you went back to Neo 1.
right.
What they should have did was added on to it by making the demon come part of you, just like the last one, and then making it have another ultimate form. Like once you did a certain combo, then it something happened, or it could then devour the person you're fighting, and then something else happened.
Right.
You see what I mean? That would have went into more of a where the gaming needs to go, like a devouring system. Like, okay, when he rips this guy to shred or his combo gets up, something else happened to him. All his hair stands up, or he gets 3, 4 feet more high. I expected more out of that.
Got you.
I really did.
Got you. Now, did
I
you
might have
also
high
notice?
expectations, but
Did you also notice the healing in the game? Did you notice anything about it? The way you
it
drink
was
potions?
it was awkward.
Yeah, because Venom had mentioned that too.
It was very awkward.
I mean, personally, I didn't heal much at all,
So
but
so if you want to talk about the healing was like Monster Hunter.
Oh
and you
yeah, that made
you
that spot
don't
on. Yeah,
you don't want Monster Hunter in a game like that. You
yeah,
need to heal instantly. So
yeah.
you want more like the Division One, not like Monster Hunter. So in the Division One, when you need to heal, you just stuck it in your leg and boom, it was gone
Right,
instantaneously.
right.
This one, you walk back and you're chugging this drink
Yeah,
like you're a Monster Hunter. It's like this doesn't work for this type of combat.
right, right.
Like it's too long.
Well,
So
they did
then,
they did ask for feedback, and hopefully,
but
they
but
will change some of those things.
but that's Monster Hunter and Dark Soulish.
Right,
You see what I mean?
right,
Like you can't want this type of game and then your heel be like that. Also, where you think about it, you got those type of heels where in Black Desert you can one tap pull heel.
right, right,
It is no even no animation. The moment you hit the button, you're already healed.
right.
See what I
Also, I
mean?
don't know if you noticed, Call of Duty came out with a demo, and there's something I don't know if you noticed that happened.
I've heard they talk people talking about it. I didn't play it yet,
Now, it's
and I'm
something
very
that we
interested in
talked
it.
about
Okay,
with Call of Duty that they added.
third person.
Yeah,
They added third person, and that's what's going to
but
if
it's only in
if
certain modes or
exactly,
a
and
mode.
and that's what I'm not a fan of. If they can make Call of Duty, as long as it doesn't have to be in third person for, I guess, the sole purpose of what most people use it like PvP. It doesn't have to be. But if all the rest of the modes are in Call of Duty, guess what I'm going to be playing this year? Call of Duty, because I've
Facts.
been waiting for third person Call of Duty for God knows how long. Been
Yeah,
been
me
waiting
too.
for it. Yeah,
And
yeah.
everybody's
Like
been speaking so positively about it, and I
Well,
know
well,
a while
I'm
back.
psyched about it. I'm psyched about it myself. Like when people told me, "Hey, Call of Duty's in third person," I was like, "What?
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
What?"
I didn't
I
expect
was,
that.
I'm still hyped about it.
Yeah,
I want to see where it is when it releases. If it's in a good place, I'll buy the highest bundle one.
yeah,
I mean, like everybody shitted on Saints Row. I haven't spoke about this yet. I think Saints Row is in a good place. No, like I think people expected something else out of Saints Row. Saints Row has always been what Saints Row is: a funny, fun game to relax and play and bullshit. People expected, well, it's going to be a reboot and this and that and the other. I get it, but this is the thing: Saints Row has always been a knockoff GTA that was fun. Now, if we knock the creators for saying, okay, you made a fun game, but it needed this, it needed that, it needed... Saints Row has never been serious. It has never been like one of these games where it had to have all these things. So when they rebooted it and they did this, this is the first time that I will ever take up for a Saints Row game and say it's not bad. Now, do I think the price point was too high? Yes, I do. The price point was too high for what it is. I will agree with them there.
right,
But the game is not bad. The price point was too high.
right,
Yes, price point way too fucking high. I will
right.
agree with them. It was not a title that should have cost that much, if
Yeah,
that makes any sense.
yeah,
But it was a good game. I
yeah,
still play it. I still play it.
yeah. Awesome,
You
man.
know.
Thanks for sharing all that you're currently playing. That was really awesome to hear, man. Like a lot of stuff you're playing. Um, I've already touched on Star Ocean 6.
Mhm.
I haven't touched on the other one that I've been playing the most, which this I'm not sure how long this will be a recurring theme, but I've been playing a lot of Genshin Impact. And I know that the kind of narrative around Genshin is super n- negative. People assume the game is going down in popularity and whatnot. Um, there's still a lot of people that play it. Still have a huge fan base, of course.
Mhm.
But I've been, besides playing 2K, I've been spending a lot of late nights just running around in Sumeru. It is a game changer for me personally, and I've thought about it a lot. I've had a lot of time to sit and think. And I've said this on some of the earlier episodes of this, but I've even started to get into the lore, and so I've started reading things more around the world. Um, and I've even tried some new team because I was able to max out a lot of my characters. So I do believe once you get to the point where, and this is going to take a long time for a lot of people aren't going to get to that point where you have a lot of maxed out characters, but like the ability to like log in and say, you know what, today I'm gonna use this character or I'm gonna use this team. It really does freshen it for me in a way that I don't have the ability to get that experience other places. And people say there's no content in Genshin, and there really isn't. I'm not going to sit here and say there is. I think I create my own content for Genshin.
But
By
that's not. But the problem with that is that people say that it's not content in the game. Most games don't have content. So what makes Genshin any different?
yeah, that's
If,
a whole thing. Like every
I
game
mean,
I've played has been
I
a
mean,
cry for content.
I look at these games and I look at what people say about content, and half the people that blow through the game don't don't enjoy the experience. They're playing the game to get to the end, and then they complain about the end.
Right, right,
Because if you take your time to get to the end, isn't the journey just as important as getting to the end? The problem is
right,
that they don't enjoy the journey. They just want to get the end game
right,
so that they can complain about it.
right,
But
and
why do you rush to the end game just to complain about it?
right, and I do think like I told you before, I've taken the wish counter off of my main menu, so I don't even see the wish. It stops me from logging continually logging into the wish page because
Hmm.
it's not. It used to be on my quick bar,
Hmm.
so it's not there anymore. So that's changed kind of the constant like should I pull aspect of
Well,
it a little bit. But 3.1 is coming next week. It's the
one
anniversary
one of the
update.
best.
They're giving us 20 pools. They say there's
Nice.
100 pools in the next update. Sino's coming out. Uh, Candace is coming, and I'm not pulling on any of those characters, but and I currently have over 300 pools saved
Nice.
up. So I'm pretty much, I guess, there's a lot of excitement over the Dendro Archon that's keeping me playing right now. Especially, I would say the focus of Genshin is the characters and what characters you can get and what characters you want. So it does help
Well,
that
but
you have a character that you're interested in.
I I don't find this may sound crazy. I don't find fun anymore in playing with the new characters. I enjoy the game.
Gotcha.
So the it's no knock on anybody, but a lot of guys make videos about in-game, in-game, in-game. It's nothing to do. It's nothing to do. My advice to everyone that's playing any of these games is to enjoy the game. It's not to try to get to the end of the game. To enjoy the game, regardless of what game they're playing, especially if it's a gotcha game, is to enjoy the game because you're going to get to the end game and say it's nothing to do, and it is nothing to do because that's why it's the end of the game, or you're waiting for another update to come out.
Right.
So, but if you can't learn to enjoy the end of it, I wouldn't get to the end. Because
Right.
like in Genshin, I have stuff to do in every one of my islands. And I enjoy it. Like I can get on and I always have content to do. People say I
Right.
don't have content. I got Geoculus to get, I got Areoculus to get. I have all types of stuff to get in the game. So when I get on the game, I can get five or six of them and then wander off and do a side mission. I can do this and then go do something and look, okay, it's like, oh, I can get these couple things to level up this one character. I always have something to do. Now, if I was like everyone else and I would have rushed all that, I would have had nothing to do and I wouldn't enjoy it.
Right.
So I feel like looking towards in the future for everyone that plays these games and just for games in general is to tone back on trying to get to the end game because games are releasing slower. We're only what in the third year of the life of the PlayStation 5.
Yeah. It's either two or
So,
three. I can't remember.
right. So we're in two or three. So it's a fairly new system. They haven't got all the new games out yet. So kind of keep yourself in reserve mode because some of these games are having a pushback like for Spoken that we wanted to play and Harry Potter that we wanted to play, and I hope that Gotham Knights or none of the other stuff gets pushed back, but we
Yep.
got to kind of keep ourselves in reserve mode because even if we get the end game and beat these games, now we're sitting around with twiddling our thumbs going, hey, we ain't got nothing, what's next, what's next.
Right.
So
Right.
that's my advice to everybody right now. Like you, they need to really think about trying to get the end game because I love Tower Fantasy, but sometimes I log in and I got 20 minutes worth of stuff to do and then I'm off
Right, right,
because I'll just be running around the world, which I do sometimes, but because I
right,
just love the way the world looks, kind of like you how you are with Genshin. That's how I'm with Tower Fantasy.
right,
But when I talk about a wishing system or is Genshin Genshin is better than Tower Fantasy. Does Tower Fantasy have more play modes? Yes. But Genshin is better for as pity, for as pulling.
right, right.
I mean,
But
it is
the
what it
last
is.
thing I wanted to say about Genshin was, they have this card game coming, and I couldn't be more excited for a mode. Like I said before in early episodes, like I've always loved, you know, when these games have these horizontal. I love horizontal content, and I'm excited to play it. I think that's another part that's really got me excited and keeps me playing. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Genshin. I played Star Ocean as I talked about earlier. Um, just wanted to quickly touch on Valkyrie Chronicles. It was the best of the demos that I played,
Mhm.
in terms of just quality. Again, that game seems a little outdated in some of its systems, but in term even being outdated, it was the most I felt optimized experience I had, of the demos that I played. Bolong was pretty good. Like I've already talked about that one. But I think the one that I now am most looking forward to out of those was Valkyrie Chronicles. So I'll probably be playing that. In addition to Star Ocean 6, once that comes out, I'll give it a shot. But yeah, Genshin has been one that I've been playing really heavy lately still. And I wonder how long this streak is going to continue, if I'll ever put Genshin down. But yeah, I've been really excited. I'm really excited for 3.1. They're bringing out the new Sand region, in Sino. I'm probably going to do a lot of co op when Genshin starts because I want to see how many Sinos are out there. Um, and, do some Sino farming with them. I sometimes do that when characters release that I'm not going to play. I'll like go co oping, random co oping, and just kind of run around with people. I think that's fun. But yeah, that's all I got, man. That's we talked quite a bit. We're hitting about 1 hour 20 minutes. You have any closing comments you want to say? Leave
Um,
people with. You've kind of given people the rundown, especially on Gacha, in terms of Tower Fantasy versus Genshin and Counterside and all that. So I
yeah.
just kind of wanted to know what you wanted to leave us with here.
Well, I first want to leave all the people listening to our podcast and all the people that will be listening to our podcast. If there's any game that you want to see me and Maddie review, we'll be kind to pick it up, play it, tell you what we think about it. You know,
Sure.
this is our opinion. You have opinion just like we do, but we just try to give you informative information so you don't get hit with something from someone else that you hear and be like, I was never told about this. We try to kind of just update people on what what's going on in the gaming community. We love you. We here. We want to hear your feedback as well. If it's something that you experience is good, tell us about it. We would love to hear from
Awesome.
you.
Good stuff. All right. Well, with that, let's get out of here, bro.
Let's wrap it up.
Peace.
Peace.